Spoilers for chapter 1155 of One Piece are out. The title of the chapter is The Rocks, Pirates, and geez, we got a lot of information in this chapter, guys. This week's double spread, we have the Straw Hats crew walking on ladders above roofs in a city. Ladders, roofs, ceilings. How far will their ceilings go? I'm just playing. Anyways, we continue from the last chapter with Rocks and Loki. We learned that Zebek is a unique swordsman. He single-handedly kidnapped 5 kings during the revelry. We know, now this is where the big bombshell comes in, and I just want to preface this. I called this in my video that I will also be dropping today. I was just sick this weekend, so I couldn't finish editing it, but it will be out today, bro. Talking about Rocks, Blackbeard, and their plans. But we find out that Rocks met Emu 8 years ago in the revelry where he met Harold, and Rocks even made it all the way to the Room of Flowers, bro. Rocks told Emu that he will be back, and he also told Emu that he's a big fan of Davy Jones. And honestly, this part right here is what took me a lot of time before I could record this video, because why is he mentioning Davy Jones, bro? Now, I had to do a little research on it, and apparently the myth of Davy Jones is heavily associated with sailors. We know this, but it's also associated with supernatural occurrences on the sea. Some legends say that Davy Jones was just a random pirate who drowned at sea, and now his malevolent spirit haunts the oceans, looking out for other sailors. But in One Piece, we know something that was inspired by this myth, and that is Davy back fights, which makes perfect sense because it says also in the spoilers that Rocks gained the majority of his crew through Davy back fights. Now, who is Davy Jones in the One Piece world? At this point, on the first mention, bruh, I'm gonna just assume that Davy Jones was one of the first pirates. Much like Joy Boy, he could have been Joy Boy himself. I don't really think that's the case, but maybe Davy Jones was a pirate from back in the day who had an influential part to play in the war that led to Emu becoming king of the world. Zebek telling Emu that he would be back is just supports my theories that Zebek wanted world domination, and after he found out that there was a king of the world, he wanted to be the king of the world. When Rocks met Emu, we also see Gonko, as she was the servant that served Emu directly. Now, don't sleep on the fact that this is over 60 years ago in the main story of One Piece, which would place the Straw Hats musician Brook at right about 30 years old. So this is right before Brook actually died, and we see that Gonko is already serving Emu in the palace. So this just thickens the plot, because I'm willing to bet Brook was either a holy knight himself or part of the royal guard for another kingdom. Maybe Brook was the royal guard for one of the kings that Harold kidnapped during the revelry. We don't know, but we can assume that this is right about the time that Brook was starting his career as a pirate. Rocks and Harold clashed in the revelry, and the clash was so strong that the haki went all over the place, just like Roger and Whitebeard clashing, which tells us that Harold was a top tier of his universe, along with Rocks being one of the strongest characters because they just casually clashing in Marijois. Zebek then destroyed the Justice Gate one time, also stole a ship with money from the Terrabitos. Like I mentioned earlier, he fought in Davy back fights to make his crew larger and larger. He created his crew, and we see 6 members in Elbaf with him. One of them is Wang Ji, and another is a gangster called Marlon. A few years after he left Elbaf, he took Pirate Island under his control. Break next week. Now, in this chapter, we get an insane amount of lore drop. We basically get a condensed version of the backstory on Rocks. We find out why he became a pirate. We find out he's an absolute Chad. We learn that he's a unique swordsman, and I really need to see what this means, bro, because I didn't think he was a swordsman. I was wrong about that. It's confirmed now. But what do they mean by unique? That's the part that's interesting me the most with these spoilers. And I'm gonna throw my hat in and say he was trying to probably either recruit Harold, or he came to Elbaf to recruit a giant on his crew. Something of the sort, bruh, and it didn't work out too well for him. But yeah, guys, we have a break next week after this chapter, unfortunately, so womp womp. But don't worry, still gonna be dropping videos, and let me know what y'all think of these spoilers in the comments. If you like the content, make sure and hit the like button or subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.